You fix 80% of your postural issues by getting stronger and more flexible/mobile. Most strange postural exercises, the exercises you typically see in how to fix your posture videos, which is probably the reason you clicked in this video, because you don't want to do these exercises, try to either strengthen or stretch certain muscles depending on if they are weak or tight, as this is why your posture is bad in 80% of cases. Bad posture is typically caused by modern life, which forces us into a very forward posture, right, as we sit down at a computer all day, giving way to weak back muscles, tight front muscles, so your chest and shoulders specifically, weak ab muscles, glute muscles, and tight hips, etc. So more, obviously, but these are the primary ones, the big muscles of the body, right? Fixing these either muscular weaknesses or tightnesses by doing strange postural exercises is fine if it works for you. I just think it's a very complicated and inefficient manner of going about fixing the issue, because they isolate the muscles instead of incorporating them into a grander whole. I would argue that if you simply train the primary movement patterns of push, pull, and squat, those are like the primary movement patterns. There's not that many movement patterns to choose from, with as best a form as you can muster up given your current muscular weaknesses/tightnesses. In the beginning is obviously always going to be a little difficult. In a full range of motion, so doing the movement plane or movement pattern is as complete as you possibly can. So full stretch, full contraction. If you do that, you are going to get both the strengthening and stretching portion of that plane of motion. Hence, you are in 80% of cases going to strengthen and stretch the muscles you would otherwise do the same thing to by doing strange isolation work, as the otherwise isolated muscles most likely work to some degree in any of these larger compound movement patterns, especially if they are the important postural muscles we talked about just before of chest, shoulders, back, glutes, etc. So in other words, if you do the big compound movement patterns of push, pull, and squat, which works all the muscles in your body with good form through a full, or as good a form as you can muster up, in a full range of motion, if you do that, you automatically strengthen and stretch most muscles, which in most cases also includes the muscles you would train by doing these strange isolation exercises, right? In other words, doing a strange isolation exercise to stretch out your chest is not more effective than just stretching out your chest by doing a full range of motion push-up, for example. So if you just do the primary movement patterns in a full range of motion, and in this way strengthen and stretch out your muscles, you do things far more efficiently and simply for yourself, and save a lot of time and energy this way. And probably also actually increase your chances of actually following through on improving your posture, as doing, a entirely different routine for fixing your posture, which has to be done over months, a long time to fix the posture. Just most people are not going to do this, myself included. Most people are going to drop it after a couple of weeks at most, I think. So if you just incorporate it into your larger workout routine and stretch and strengthen your muscles by doing compound movements, which you would otherwise do just training, then you do both things at once. So you fix your posture by just getting stronger and more flexible, mobile, by just doing the compound movements. Some things this approach obviously is not going to fix, only about 80% of things. It's going to fix everything that's caused by either muscular weaknesses or tightnesses in most cases. So if this is not why you have bad posture, if you have extreme scapular winging or something like that, which it might not be caused by muscular weaknesses or tightnesses, it might be a nerve issue or something like that, then this is not going to work for that. Another posture tip, which is going to get easier when you become stronger and more flexible, is just to be consciously aware of your posture always. So when you walk around, like pull your shoulders back, head up, look at the world instead of slouching over. Again, this becomes easier when you get stronger because you're not, and more flexible, because you're not constantly fighting against the fact that your chest is tight and your back is weak. So, you know, you can see how that works. So you get stronger, more flexible, things become easier. Also, just make sure you exist in an environment where it's easy to have good posture. This means that at your computer, for example, have a proper computer setup and not have your screen laying on the table or whatever, so you have to sit slouched over in order to look at the screen. Have it at eye height so that it just becomes easier to have good posture. This is especially important sitting down, because this is what most people do all day and why they have bad posture to begin with. So if you just encourage good posture in that regard, that's also a very good tip to follow. So the summary of this video is that if you have bad posture, it's most likely just because you are just overall weak and you're tight in certain places. So you fix this by getting stronger and more mobile, especially in certain places, right? The most effective way of getting about this is to just focus on doing the primary compound movement patterns with a full range of motion with as best a form as you can muster up, as they target all the muscles in your body essentially, at least those which are important for postural issues like the chest, the back, lower body muscles, etc. Both strength and mobility slash flexibility wise, as your muscles both contract. Let's take the push-up. They both contract and stretch in this one plane of motion when performed in a full range of motion. So they just do everything, really. So the summary of the summary is that you fix your bad posture by doing compound movements with proper form in a full range of motion consistently over time. This is going to fix 80% of your postural problems. That was the case for me anyway. This is me about 3 years ago, I think. And this is me today. And I have never done any strange postural exercises. I have just done the primary movement patterns with as good as form as I could do at that given time, which is going to improve over time, in a full range of motion, and gotten stronger and more flexible or mobile over time. And I think the same will work for you most likely. I can't see why it wouldn't. So yeah. Thank you very much for watching.